Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Nationals podcast. Today it is the 29th of April, 2022. And on today's show, we look at the Nationals getting swept at home by the Miami Marlins. Although there were some encouraging signs, we'll discuss what those were, and then we'll look ahead to their upcoming series with the San Francisco Giants as they leave home. It feels like a much needed road trip coming here for the Washington Nationals. All that and more coming up on today's show.
Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, hello everybody, Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Nationals podcast. Today it is the 29th of April, 2022. It's a Friday. Hope you guys are having a good lead into your weekend. Today's show will be a bit quicker. I'm in Kansas City right now visiting the girlfriend. We got a wedding coming up this weekend. Festivities are starting tonight. So that going on, got a lot of other work stuff to take care of. So this episode is going to be a bit quicker than our normal shows, but still be able to pack in some information here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LO_Nationals. Follow me at Josh Neighbors _. You guys can see it on the screen here. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you find us wherever you guys get your podcasts, and you can find us on YouTube as well. All right, so first thing is first. The Nationals got swept by the Miami Marlins, which, obviously not optimal at home. And so as we do most of the time, if you guys haven't listened before, we like to check in to see what's going on here, kind of set the stage before we really dive headfirst into everything else. So right now, the Washington Nationals are 6-15. That is a .286 winning percentage. Excuse me. They are 8.5 games out of the New York Mets, who are in first place. They are 5.5 games out of the Miami Marlins, who are in second place. They are 4.5 games out of the Philadelphia Phillies, who are in third at 500. They are 5 games out, or 3.5 games out, of the Braves, who are in fourth. So 3.5 behind the next closest team. They are 3-11 at home. They have a minus 43 run differential. They've lost 8 straight games, and they're 2-8 in their last 10, which is the second worst record, tied the second worst record in baseball right now. The White Sox are 1-9 in their last 10, as are the Cincinnati Reds, I guess third in the last 10 games, because now they're 2-8, and the only other team right now that is 2-8 in their last 10 games is the Detroit Tigers. So the Nationals obviously not playing very good baseball right now. Now, we've talked about the first 2 games of the series, so we're really going to cover the last game that we saw yesterday and kind of talk about some of the big themes and things coming out of that game. And look, it was a 3-2 loss. The Nationals right now, as I had mentioned, have lost 8 straight games after winning back-to-back games against Arizona. They lost the next 2, they lost the next 3, then they lost the next 3. Yeah, they all add up. That's 8. I'm sure you guys know how math works. The Nationals in this series, all right, I have to mention this, in this series against the Miami Marlins, actually pitched pretty well. They allowed 3 runs, 2 runs, and 5 runs. So you allowed 10 runs across 3 games. It's a little bit over 3 runs per game, but you only scored 5. They scored 2, 1, and 2. They lost games by 3 runs, 1 run, and 1 run. The Nationals have lost a lot of close games, but they're really not games they're blowing. These are not games the Nationals are ahead and then all of a sudden they're behind. They're behind from the 8 ball because their offense has not been good enough. But I have to say, there were some quality starting pitching performances this weekend. I really gave it to Patrick Corbin as of late. And yesterday, thought he delivered a really strong start in a game between Taylor Rogers and then Patrick Corbin. Corbin takes the loss, but goes 6 innings, pitches 90 pitches, 4 hits, 2 runs that are earned, 8 Ks on the day. And the runs that also came, there was some error shenanigans by the Nationals that led to some scoring for the Marlins. So with that in mind, we have to think about this, okay, this, all things considered, like this was a good Patrick Corbin start. We've been over some of his previous starts, and yes, he took the loss here. And yes, there are some times where you need your ace to be an ace and put up zeros and match zeros. But for a team that's not scoring a whole lot, they're asking every pitcher to do that to keep them in games. And Patrick Corbin kept them in this game. And also, this is a guy who's not been pitching well as of late. This is the first time that he completed 6 full innings and went out there for the 7th, and it didn't go great, so they pulled him out at that point. But I thought, you have to be honest about this performance. It was really strong for Patrick Corbin. Last time out, inning and 2/3, 7 hits, 7 runs, all 7 earned, a homer, 3 walks, 4 Ks, and 60 pitches. Once again, in just an inning and 2/3 against the Giants in a 7-1 loss. All right. The game before that, that was the one where we talked about it on a couple of days ago on the podcast where the Nationals tweeted, Patrick Corbin has kept us in the game. And Matt Wyrick and I were like, you know what? Great. We're glad. But that can't be like what you're announcing. You can't be like, we are in the game. Yes, we're competitive with Patrick Corbin on the mound. You should be. You should be competitive. That was the 5 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 3 walks, 4 Ks, and 92 pitches against Pittsburgh. But, once again, you should be competitive. This was a start that we're talking about here that was good enough to win. And right now, I'm not focusing on wins and losses. We're just talking about performances, right? I talked about Josiah Gray's performance the other day. We got to talk about guys like that. When they show up and they pitch well, we have to laud that and perform that. I thought Eric Fetty was fine the other day, but didn't get too deep in the game. So we're talking about performances here, not all in all results, not like the win-loss result, not the final score result. What was the score when he left the game? At the Nationals were in a spot right there where it was a 1-1 game. Yet he put the runners on. It caused them to go down. Sure, they were tagged to him, and that's why he ends up getting the loss. But I thought for the most part yesterday he was very strong. The bullpen did their job. Arano gives up the hit that scores the runs, but still he's been strong. Voth and Rogers, kept the game right where it had to be. It was just the offense. Yesterday they did not get a hit from spots. Let's see, 4 through 8. Those guys went 0 for in the game. Nelson Cruz 0 for 3. Yadiel Hernandez 0 for 4. Maikel Franco 0 for 4. Riley Adams 0 for 3. Lucius Fox 0 for 2 with a walk. Victor Robles did have a really nice double off the wall that allowed him to set up a Cesar Hernandez double that scored the run. But at this point, the Nationals offense continues to be quiet. Juan Soto continues to be relatively quiet. He's hitting 243, although he leads the league in walks. Teams in many spots are like, you know what, we're just not going to mess with Soto, honestly. And if Josh Bell roasts us once or twice a game, we're fine with that. If he gets a hit and drives in a run like he did once in this game, he goes 1 for 4. We're actually fine with that. You know why? Because that's probably the only opportunity you're going to get to score. We'll let Josh Bell beat us. Josh Bell, once again, you guys know I think he's a very good player, but not good enough. He's not good enough. He's not some world beater, right? He's had an awesome start to the year, but Nelson Cruz behind him hasn't been very good either. So the Nationals dropped that game. They fall to 3-11 at home. I think it's good timing that they get out on the road. All right, one quick word from our sponsors, and we'll preview that upcoming series. So once again, positives, Patrick Corbin, good start. Slider looked good, stuff looked good, fastball looked good. He's getting ahead in counts, and you get ahead in counts early. 4 Ks, I think, in the first 2 innings. That was a big key for him. And we talked about that a lot too. But when he gets ahead, he's really effective, and he was ahead quite a lot. All right, quick word from our sponsors here on today's show. Today's Locked On Nationals podcast is brought to you by Built Bar. Go to Built.com today. It's Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com today. They got plenty of new flavors for you all to check out. Go there now and do it. They've got banana cream pie, raspberry, double chocolate, and so many more. Most Built Bars have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs, while they have 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Go to Built.com today. That's Built.com. Promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com today. Today's show is also brought to you all by Blue Nile. Mother's Day is coming up fast. Make sure you guys get your mom or a special person in your life anytime soon a gift that they will never forget. It's fine jewelry, tennis bracelets, cocktail rings, diamond jewelry, gold layer jewelry, and more stuff that you guys can definitely give as a gift to that person that's special in your life, or a mom especially here coming up with Mother's Day. This Mother's Day, give her something that she'll never forget with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get a $50 off $500 purchase exclusive deal right now. This is a podcast exclusive deal for Mother's Day. Use promo code Locked On. That's LOCKEDON. Locked On. And it'll make sure you guys that your order is insured. It ships free. It arrives in a discreet package that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever peace at BlueNile.com today. All right, so the Nationals now, they move on to their series with the Miami Marlins. They move on to their road trip that starts in San Francisco, a series with the San Francisco Giants. That will start tonight, 3 games over the course of the weekend. Then they've got 4 in Colorado, 3 in Los Angeles. So, a lot of traveling happening right now for the Nationals. Their first game tonight is a 10-15er. Love to see those on Apple TV Plus. They take on the Giants, who are 13-6 right now and have won 5 of their last 6 games. They had a 1-0 loss to Oakland in the second game of a 2-game series. That was on Wednesday, so they'll be rested up. All right, so setting up for your pitching this weekend on the first game of the series, it's going to be Alex Wood, who has been strong so far this year, 2-0, with a 2.51 earned run average and 16 strikeouts. He'll take on Aaron Sanchez, who will be making his second start of the season. Last time out, he did face those same Giants. 4 1/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 1 walk, 1 K in 64 pitches. Let's see if they can get him 5 tonight. That bullpen's had to work a decent amount. Let's see if they can get him 5 tonight, 5 quality innings, and keep them in a game. I think that would be progress. We don't want to see situations, especially on the road, where the bullpen's having to pitch over half the game. The starters were a bit better with that in this last series against the Marlins, I should say. And we'll see if they can keep that going. 4:05 game tomorrow. This one you guys can catch on Masson. So 10:15 Apple TV Plus tonight. Logan Webb is the starter tomorrow. He is 2-1 with a 2.96 earned run average and 17 Ks on the season. He will go against Yohan Adon, who is 1-3 with a 6.98 earned run average, also has 16 Ks. We'll see what he can do. He's been all over the place. He's pitching out of necessity. Last time out, 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 1 homer, 1 walk, 3 Ks, and 70 pitches. The outing before that, though, was the 6 1/3, 3 hits, no runs allowed, 2 walk, and 5K, 88 pitch performance that he had in a 1-0 win over Arizona. Same thing for him. Just finding that consistency. He's new to the big leagues. This is not a guy who's seen a lot of time. Yeah, he made 1 start last year, but he's just making his 6th career start tonight. So trying to bring this guy along, it's difficult, especially facing these really strong National League teams, but he's going to have to do it for the Nationals this weekend. Keep them in the game. We'll see if the offense can get going. It's going to be a difficult task, especially when you get some of those games. Now, luckily, the first game's a night game, but the next 2 are day games. Your Sunday game, May 1st, is a 4:05er as well. Last 2 are 4:05. That's going to end up being 1:05 on the West Coast. Those night games by the Bay, as somebody who's born in the Bay and obviously visits a lot, love, San Francisco is an awesome city. You want to be playing, offensively speaking, earlier on in the day. When it gets later, not like in the morning, you want like that sweet spot, like 1 when the fog's cleared. Now you're on the water a bit sometimes, but that's when the ball is more likely to travel. The later you get, the more the clouds the fog hangs over the stadium, the cooler it gets. That's when the ball's not going to travel as much. And this offense needs the ball to travel, but they need some weather. So hopefully those second games with the weather can be a benefit. And then on Sunday, I think right now the best thing to watch as a Nats fan, it's the Josiah Gray starts. Now I know it's a small thing to hang your hat on, but I really liked what he did in his last start. The 5 2/3, 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 10 Ks. In that performance, thought it should have only been 3 earned runs. Thought the Alcides Escobar play should have been made. It was not, but I digress from that. So you'll get to see him on Sunday, and there's no pitcher listed yet for the Giants. We'll be back on Sunday to recap everything that's happened over the course of the weekend. As we do, one more quick word from our sponsors right now. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline and BetOnline.net. If you guys want to bet on the NFL draft or on any of the Nationals baseball coming up this weekend, you guys can go to BetOnline and BetOnline.net today. They got NASCAR. They've got F1. Big race in Miami next week. You guys can bet on UFC. They got an event this weekend. Boxing as well. Bellator. All of those things are available in addition to the NBA playoffs, as well as the upcoming NHL playoffs. So go to BetOnline today. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, make sure you guys find us on Twitter at LO_Nationals. You guys can find me on Twitter at JoshNeighbors_. Find the show wherever you guys get your podcast and on YouTube as well. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.